Hey everyone, Theo here. Today I'm reviewing the Bigme S6 Color Plus, which is a 7.8-inch e-ink e-reader running on Android 11. First of all, a disclaimer, this is a review unit provided by the company. In this video, I just want to present to you my findings so that you can decide whether or not this is worth the money. And the price for this tablet is US $479 at the time of review, and that does not include the shipping cost. The firmware on this tablet is the one released on the 23rd of August 2023. If you are a subscriber on my YouTube channel, you will know that I have reviewed their previous tablet, the Bigme Galy, before, and that tablet actually has richer colors compared to the S6 Color Plus, but the Bigme Galy has some issues showing the green color. The S6 Color Plus uses Kaleido 3 technology and can produce 5000 over colors. Now, this tablet has better responsiveness and much longer battery life, so I do value the responsiveness and the battery life, and the colors on this tablet actually looks alright. It looks good enough. But this is not the best visual quality you can get from the tablet. To get the best visual quality, you have to go into the settings and increase the light. I'm going to use 24 out of the 36 steps adjustment for the cool light, and I'm going to have the warm light set to 12 out of 36. So now the display is brighter and there is better contrast and the visual quality is better. This is how the tablet looks with lighting, and it looks kind of dark now, but that's only because of my camera settings, because there is strong sunlight here. And this is how the tablet looks under direct sunlight with lighting on. And now I'm going to switch off the lighting, reduce that to 0, and maybe refresh the page. And this is how it looks without the artificial lighting. And this is how it looks. So now this is slightly darker than earlier. This is how text looks without artificial light. So the e-ink canvas is kind of gray. So let me just increase the light again. I'm showing you this early in the video because that's how I use this tablet with the artificial light on, because you get the better looking colors and contrast. I'll be presenting this review and the tablet with the lights on because that will give you the best visuals. Okay, so let's talk about the Bigme S6. And there are actually 4 tablets in this series. There is the S6 Black and White, there is the S6 Color Light, S6 Color, and S6 Color Plus. All 4 tablets have 7.8-inch displays, and the black and white resolution is 300 PPI. The main differences comes down to the color resolution and how much RAM and internal storage there is. So for the S6 Color Plus, it's using Kaleido 3 technology, and the color resolution is 150 PPI. For the S6 Color and S6 Lite, the color resolution is 100 PPI. So this review unit I have here is the S6 Color Plus, which has 300 PPI for black and white, 150 PPI for color. And because I don't have any tablet with 100 PPI for color, I cannot tell you the difference between 100 versus 150 PPI for color. The colors here look pretty good for me by e-ink and e-reader standards. LCD displays will still show you better colors because of better color support and backlight and higher brightness. Now this is just e-ink without any backlight. It has front light applied, and this is how it looks up close. The font or the text looks quite sharp. I don't see any pixelation. Right, let me give you the bottom line. This e-reader, the display and the colors look good enough. The responsiveness of this tablet is good enough, and that is actually one area that pleasantly surprised me, because this performance is much better, faster compared to the Bigme Galy. And if I scroll, you can see the animation is actually quite smooth. There is still the refresh lag due to the e-ink canvas, but this scrolling animation is actually quite smooth. And there is some ghosting, but you can control how much ghosting there is from the previous page just by setting the page refresh frequency. And the writing performance of this pen is actually quite good, and I'll talk more about that later on. One big selling point is there is Google Play Store, so you can install your favorite reading apps. On to the full review, let's look at the items included with the purchase. Bigme actually shipped these items in separate boxes. So this came in one box, the cover and case came in another box, and the charging cable and the two replacement pen tips came in the third box, which I lost. Here we have the warranty card and quick start guide, which is not very useful because the tablet has so many features, and in this review I will not be able to cover all the features. I'll just be covering the important and useful features. This is the pen that supports palm rejection and slightly over 4,000 levels of pressure sensitivity. There are 3 side buttons which are sort of customizable. This pen is powered by battery, so it needs to be charged by attaching it to the side of the tablet, and there is one laser pointer behind. Bluetooth pairing is not required to use the pen, so now the pen is not paired yet and I can use the pen for scrolling. Bluetooth pairing is needed if you want to use the shortcut button, so let's scan to look for the pen. So it's looking for the pen, and that's the pen, so let's pair it to use the buttons, and now it's connected and showing the battery life of the pen. This is the flip cover case. The quality is, I would say, so-so, because you can see it's kind of soft. It's between hard and soft. So you can attach the case here magnetically, and those two are the pitch flip buttons. And because the pen charges by attaching it to the side, you can close the case and use this magnetic flap to prevent the pen from falling off. The magnet on this flap is not that strong, and the magnetic attachment with the pen to the tablet is also not that strong. So if you have the tablet on the table and you try to pick this up, you can see the pen will dislodge and in this case move inside. And the reason for that is because the magnetic attachment on the pen is just this small part here, and the side of the tablet is actually convex. It curves out, and the side of the pen is also curving out, so these two sides, they don't match. One side should be convex, one side should be concave, but that's not the case here. So to pick up your tablet, you can't do it from the side because it's very likely for the pen to move in, and you cannot do it from the top here because the magnet here is not that strong, so you have to pick it up from this side. This is, I would say, a usable case, but it certainly can be made better. At least there is the auto wake and sleep when you close the cover. At least the magnets here for the attachment is strong, and the magnets on the back is quite strong as well, so at least the tablet will not fall off from the back of the cover. Let's look at the design of this tablet. Okay, the first thing I want to do is to turn off the auto rotate, which you can see is not the fastest. Anyway, this is an e-reader, so I usually use e-readers in portrait orientation. So let me just turn that off very quickly. And this tablet is quite lightweight. Bigme did not specify the weight on their website, so I don't know how heavy this is. But for a 7.8-inch tablet, this is, I would consider, lightweight. And it's quite thin. The sides are curved, so this is very comfortable to hold if you want to hold it without the cover. The bezels are quite thin on the side, but still give you enough space to hold comfortably, whether you're left-handed or right-handed. There is a camera in front, but there is no face unlock, and this camera is not very useful. At least the camera at the back can be used to scan QR codes, but I don't think anyone will be using this to take photos. And you can see the design on the back is very clean and simple. It's the same color as the front bezels. So the bezels are thicker at the top and bottom. There is no physical buttons anywhere on the front. The top is curved as well, and there is a tray here that can hold a SIM card and a micro SD card for possible storage expansion. The 4G cellular connection only works in China. The speaker is here and there is only one. The volume is loud enough and the audio quality sounds slightly hollow to me. If you want to listen to audiobooks, I guess you can use this. If you want to use earphones, well, there is no 3.5mm audio jack, so you will have to use a earphone with USB-C connection or use Bluetooth earphones. And that's the power button with the fingerprint scanner. On this side, there's the charging connector for the pen, and at the bottom we have the USB-C charging port with USB 2 transfer speeds, and there are some mics if I'm not wrong. On this side, we have the connector for the cover. The tablet can be unlocked with password or the fingerprint sensor, which is quite fast and effective. So this is the user interface for the tablet, and there are two options you can choose for the UI. There is this option with the menu by the side, and you can switch to different categories, and this is customizable. The second option is the typical Android tablet home screen with all the apps. So this version with the menu by the side is obviously better compared to just having the tablet home screen, because you get the menu and the home screen with all the apps. The resolution of this tablet is 1404 by 1872, and it looks sharp enough for me with no noticeable pixelation. The display quality looks good to me, and as mentioned earlier, I actually have the artificial light enabled. So let me just reduce the artificial light to let you see the actual color of the e-ink canvas, which is darker compared to the bezels. The size of this 7.8-inch display is definitely big enough for reading books with lots of text, and for most reading apps you have the option to increase the font size to make the text bigger and more legible. I will definitely want to increase the lighting to get better contrast and better colors. Let's take a look at PDF ebooks, especially PDF comics. So I'm going to open this PDF comic and let me just zoom down. Okay, so if I zoom in and out, I can see that it's not that responsive. Now for PDFs, there is no way to adjust the font size, so I would say the text here is kind of small for me, for my personal preference. So when it comes to reading PDFs, I would prefer to have a tablet that is at least 10 inches or larger, because the reading experience is going to be so much better. Now this is black and white comics, so I'm able to flip through the pages pretty quickly. And I'm using the normal color mode, and from what I can see, I don't really see much ghosting effect. I don't see I can see some page impression from the previous page, but it's not that obvious. Okay, this is taking some time to load, but after it finished loading, the page flips are pretty quick. So it will load, it seems to me that it will load a few pages at a time. Let's go back to the home screen and open up another page. Oops, I accidentally flipped a page and now it's loading a few more pages. Okay, let's go back to the previous screen. So it went back pretty quickly, and let's open up this file, and the loading is pretty fast. So this PDF file has very small text, and to see the text I will have to zoom in. And the zooming in, as you can see, is not that fast. And this is with the normal mode. I've just switched over to the extreme color mode, and it seems like the zoom is slightly faster, or maybe that's the placebo effect. Anyway, I would prefer not to zoom because, as you can see, it's not like that fast. So for reading PDFs, I would definitely go with a larger tablet, 10 inches or larger. Under e-ink center, these are the different refresh modes, and this will affect how the colors look and how fast the page will refresh. And you can also set the full refresh frequency here by using the slider. And under e-ink center, you have other options to enhance the darkness, the blacks, the vividness, the saturation, and the color brightness. Now these settings here will not affect the page refresh speed. It's these 5 settings that will affect the page refresh speed. And this app is Amazon Kindle, and I've just opened up this comic. I can see some ghosting effect. So to remove the ghosting, you can do a page refresh, or you can just set the page refresh frequency. From what I can see, the colors look good enough, and the text is sharp. Let me just swipe down here to go into the e-ink settings to change to maybe the extreme mode to see how fast the page will move. So Amazon Kindle actually has this moving or rolling animation for page flips, which I do not like. Yeah, so this is the extreme mode, which is, I'll say, fast enough. And I can see some ghosting, more ghosting than the earlier mode, which is the normal mode. So let me switch over to the normal mode again. Okay. And this is also pretty fast, so I don't really see any reason to go into extreme mode. And there is slightly less ghosting here. Okay, I can see the page impression from the previous page there. This is how black looks. It's not the black, but it's black enough, I guess. We have the regal mode, which is supposed to give you better image quality, and it does seem like the colors are slightly richer, but as you can see, the colors are not that saturated, not as saturated compared to LCD displays. And you can also see the page flip is happening more slowly, and the page actually refreshes a lot of times because the page flip is happening more slowly. Yeah, so the page will refresh, flash several times before the page settles down. So this is HD mode, and I can see there is some delay with the page flips as well, and there is also some ghosting, but the colors actually look better, slightly better compared to normal mode. And tap here, so I have to tap a few times to change the color mode. This is HD 256. Oh, check out the ghosting effect. We have some ghosting effect as well. And again, the page also flips quite slowly. So to me, there isn't much difference between HD 256, HD, and Regal. Yeah, so this is the normal fast mode, and the colors actually still look pretty good. Yeah, it's like much faster. And now let's compare the different color modes using this comic book cover. Right now, the color mode is HD 256, and this is LCD, which is obviously more vibrant and brighter. But people buy e-ink e-readers for a reason, because they don't like to read on LCDs. So this is how the colors look with HD 256 color mode, with front light at 24 out of 36. That's the cool light, and the warm light is 12 out of 36. And from what I can see, it looks okay. I mean, the colors obviously are not as vibrant, but this looks alright to me. This is HD. It doesn't actually look much different, but there is the delay for page flips. Let's see, Regal mode. I can see the colors are slightly richer, relatively speaking. But unless you have several e-ink readers by the side to compare, it's actually not easy to see the difference. Let's switch over to fast mode, and this also looks pretty good. So with fast mode, the page flips are faster as well, and the colors also look good, so I don't really see any compelling reason to use the slower color modes. I can see ghosting again, but as mentioned several times, you can set the refresh rate to remove the ghosting more frequently. There is some difference between normal and extreme mode. Extreme mode has more ghosting, And the colors for extreme mode looks okay, looks alright to me. Let's look at the color wheel. So this is the HD256 color wheel, and I can see obviously the colors are not as saturated and not as bright compared to the LCD, but the colors look okay by e-ink e-reader standards. I can see yellow, orange, red, blue, violet, green, no issues here. Let's switch over to HD mode and let's refresh the page to look at the colors. It looks good enough. Because I don't have a tablet side by side to compare, it's difficult for me to tell you whether this looks better compared to other modes, because I have to base on my memory to tell you whether this is better. Using memory to compare colors is not accurate. Next, let's have Regal. I can definitely see the colors here are richer. Oops, if I refresh the page, yeah. Sometimes the colors would shift. Let me just refresh the page again. Okay, it looks okay. It looks good as well. I can see the different values from the less saturated to the more saturated. Let's go into the normal mode. Also notice as I swipe down here, notice the colors are immediately richer, but not as accurate. Let's go into normal mode. Okay, for normal mode, I can see the color representation is not as accurate compared to HD265, and Regal. Because here you can see the color steps. Earlier on, you can see we have light, from light to more saturated. Here, it's not as obvious. We can see some random steps here and also some random stray colors. Let me refresh this page. It could be a problem with page refresh, but no, it's not a problem with page refresh. So it's just that the color representation is not that accurate with normal. And let's go with extreme now, page refresh, and same issue with normal mode. The color representation is not that accurate. I mean, the colors sort of look okay, but it's not as accurate compared to Regal, HD, and 265. I would still prefer normal mode and extreme mode just for the faster response. Everything about color is subjective, and when you are using an e-ink reader, the colors are going to look off because this is not LCD or OLED display. So the colors are going to look off slightly, but as long as the colors still look right, it looks okay. So this is normal color mode, and the normal mode is supposed to be the mode with inaccurate colors. But can you tell which are the inaccurate colors here? You can't, because you don't have a reference to compare to. Let's see how the warm and cool light looks. So you can use the slider to increase the warm light. More specifically, you can increase the brightness of the warm light. To adjust the color temperature, you will have to mix it with the cool light. Yeah, so this is the brightest at 36 steps. So let me just reduce it down to maybe half, and this is how it looks. Let's increase the cool light. So you can drag the slider up and the light will update almost, not instantly, but very quickly. Okay, so to adjust the color temperature, you have to mix the warm and cool light by adjusting the slider to your preferred color temperature. So this is a mix of warm and cool. If it's too bright, you have to reduce both slider down. Yeah, so this is how it works. The lighting, from what I can see, is quite even. Yeah, let me just tap away to show you. I don't see any unnatural or strange glow at certain areas, so the lighting is actually quite flat, quite evenly applied, which is obviously good. Next, let's talk about the user interface and usability. So this is the home screen using the UI option that has the menu by the side here. These shortcuts are for quick settings, so if you tap here, this will go into e-ink center where you can change the color mode, the page refresh frequency, dark enhancement, vivid enhancement, and color brightness. This next button here is for the active apps to see which are the ones that are open. This will show you all the apps that you have installed on your tablet. This is the settings button, the full settings. And this is the quick settings that let you switch connection, go into airplane mode, screenshot, rotation, enable or disable touch, change the lighting. And this is the back button. We have the date, time, wireless strength, and battery life. All the categories or the shortcuts here can be customized. So I have this set to storage to see what are the files in the internal storage. And there is 128 gigs of storage. This is the App Center that shows all the apps. You can also go into the App Center by tapping on this shortcut here at the top. This is the note-taking feature, the library. There is Google Play Store that I've placed here as a shortcut. Now to customize the shortcut, all you have to do is go into the settings and look for the menu setting. Okay, it's called Menu Manage, and these are the shortcuts that you can enable or disable. So earlier I showed you Notes, Library, Storage, App Center. So you can enable or disable all this, and you can change how close those icons are so that you can pack more shortcuts by the side. For the apps that you have installed from the Google Play Store, you can set them to the menu bar by the side as well. So right now the menu bar is gone because I'm in the Show All Apps page. I have to go to the home screen to see the menu bar again. And if you go to the App Center, you can see all the apps as well as the menu bar. Now this navigation bar here by the side is very useful. This navigation bar is on the screen almost all the time except when you are using certain apps. So all these shortcuts, 9 of them are customizable, and to customize them you can tap here. So you can choose the shortcuts that you want, and unfortunately there is no way to customize the e-ink center to this button here. So if you are using certain apps to change the e-ink settings, you will have to swipe down from the top and access the e-ink center here. It would be better to just have that shortcut here so that you can just tap and get into the e-ink center. If you go into storage, it seems like they will help you organize your content and group them according to picture, audio, video, documents, package, APK. And if you tap library, this will have all your ebook formats. And the ebook formats that are supported by this tablet are listed on the screen right now. This is Google Play Store, and you can use this to install your favorite reading apps. And notice as I scroll, it's actually quite responsive by e-ink e-reader standards. So I've used Google Play Store to install Kindle and Libby. This is Bigme's pre-installed Kindle app, which I did not use. I install my own apps from Google Play Store because I know they will be updated automatically from the Google Play Store. Let's look at the writing performance and experience. Now, this display actually has a gap between the surface and the e-ink canvas, but it's a small gap. So when you're writing, there is a little gap between the line and the pen tip. So that's the small gap I'm talking about, which does not affect writing performance at all. You probably won't even notice that gap unless you are looking for it. The most important thing here is when you're writing, the line is directly beneath the pen tip. And you can see the latency response is actually pretty good. Yes, the line will try to catch up with the pen tip, but the gap between the line and the pen tip is not that big. So let me use the eraser to erase this, and that's pretty fast. Let me go into the pen again. Switching between the tools is quite fast. The tablet and the pen are able to capture my handwriting quite accurately. The pen supports pressure sensitivity, so you can get thin and thick lines depending on how hard you press. So this can give your handwriting more personality. Oops, I actually pressed the side button, so it went into the erase mode. So you can press the side button to erase stuff. That's the shortcut. But you can't actually customize the two side buttons, which are both erasers. This is the back button. There are 5 tools here, so you can customize the tools. You can have all of them as pens or pencils or 5 brushes. So let's tap here on the pen and look at some of the colors that are available. Now the colors actually look good. And in addition to the colors, you also have the color names in case you cannot see what the color is exactly. There is this tactile writing experience thanks to the textured pen tip on this matte textured surface. And notice as I have my finger on the surface, I did not draw any line. That's because of palm rejection, which works flawlessly. So that's how the pen tip sounds on the writing surface. For writing with third-party apps such as Microsoft OneNote, Bigme has this feature called Global Writing, which will help improve latency while writing. And right now it's disabled, so let's look at the writing performance without this feature. So I can see noticeable latency. And now let's enable the feature. So these are the different settings you can choose. You can use your own note-taking apps, obviously. So this is Microsoft OneNote, which actually works a bit differently. Notice the lines were thin and now they are thick and red. When writing, the lines will be thin first before they settle down to become the line that you have selected here. The writing latency has improved significantly, but there is one downside. There is now more latency when switching tools. You can see as I tap here to switch back, it will take a few seconds. And if I tap again, it will take a few seconds for the colors to show up. If I drag this slider, you can see that I have actually drawn a line. So that is actually Bigme's software integration to work with other note-taking apps. Another thing with Microsoft OneNote is palm rejection doesn't work as well. So if I use my finger, it can move the page. Now if I am writing on the page itself, remember the eraser buttons by the side. So with OneNote, those eraser buttons do not work. So if I try to erase, I'm still writing. Another issue with OneNote is with palm rejection. So if I use my finger, you can see it moves the page. So if I place my palm on the display while writing, sometimes it may move the page, but right now it works fine. But sometimes it may actually move the page. So palm rejection works better with the Bigme note-taking app than with OneNote, but it still works in a way. Let's talk about the overall performance. So this tablet uses the MediaTek Helio P35 processor. This is an 8-core processor released in 2019. So this processor is quite old, but it's, I would say, powerful enough for an e-reader. For reading e-books, I would say the processing power is sufficient. Apps are able to launch quickly. Let's open up Microsoft Edge and maybe go to the Bigme website. So the keyboard pops up quickly, and when you're typing, the letters appear quickly, so the responsiveness is pretty good. Let's enter here. So this is how fast the page will load. Now the color contrast for this display is not going to be as good compared to LCD, so sometimes there are buttons around the page where I cannot see due to the lack of contrast. And the pages load pretty quickly. Yeah, scrolling seems fine. You can see it scrolls quite smoothly. And if I just swipe down like this, you can see that the page actually will just move down. Let's go into the active apps mode. So this is multitasking. Let's go back to Kindle. Yeah, so it took a while to load Kindle because the app was probably in deep sleep. The battery capacity of this tablet is 3000 milliamp hours, and I was able to get around 8 to 10 hours of battery life with some usage of lights. You can probably get longer battery life if you disable the lights or disable internet connection. So the battery life for this tablet is actually quite decent, quite good. Alright, to conclude, this is a decent e-ink e-reader that supports colors, and the colors look good enough to me after you have added some lights to make it brighter and make the colors look better. The performance is within my expectations. I think the tablet overall is quite responsive. For flipping color pages, they will still be slower compared to flipping black and white pages, but this is still, I would say, fast enough. I don't have any issues with ghosting. I mean, there is slight ghosting, but it's not a big issue. I think this tablet is probably at the performance limit for e-readers this year in 2023. If this can be even faster, that would be great, but we will have to wait for new models in 2024. Alright, so what are the downsides and limitations? Maybe Bigme can make a larger version of this tablet if they have not already done so, because the colors and the performance for this e-reader is actually good. I think it deserves a larger version for people who like to read comics where the font size is fixed. Okay, downsides. There is no 3.5mm audio jack, so if you want to listen to audiobooks, you have to use Bluetooth headphones or USB-C headphones. The audio quality is loud enough, but it sounds hollow. The magnetic attachment for the pen is very weak. They need at least 2 magnets, one here and one here. There is no way to add the e-ink center settings here for the navigation bar, and this navigation bar is very useful, but it should have more customization here, and there is no setting for you to fix this bar here, this shortcut bar here at the top permanently, and this is very useful as well. Another downside, or maybe it's a feature, is you need a Bigme account before you can set a password to this tablet and before you can use the fingerprint scanner. So it says here that the account is to help you retrieve your forgotten password. Alright, do you guys think this is worth the money? Let me know in the comment section below, and thanks for watching. See you guys again. Bye.